It's just beautiful to share this moment with you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, let the video do all the talking. We have so many other blessings. I may not have my sight, but if you look around you, then we've got so much to be thankful for. And we serve not only a powerful God, like the first song says, it's so powerful. We serve a faithful God. And what sticks out in that song is He can help us overcome anything. My walk with God hasn't been all that great since birth. I was born blind, as I mentioned in the video. I was born premature, which means I rushed out too soon and got all excited about seeing the world, and then didn't see so much in the end. But anyway, that's the joke. Then I went to boarding school, about 1,300 kilometers away from home, so that was like hectic. Since grade R, I used to travel by train every holiday from home to school and back home 4 times a year. So that was basically my interest in trains. I collected model trains since a kid, and I always wanted my own space to build like a model, what we call a model layout, which is the whole town and all the farmlands and mountains and that. And school was very difficult. I was English speaking, we were English speaking at home, and our school was 99% Afrikaans. So I was literally bullied and laughed at, trying to learn a new language, and it made me stronger. Bullying is not a nice thing. It doesn't come from God, it comes from the enemy, Satan, the devil, whatever you want to call him. And I just want to say to any of you who have experienced being bullied or being laughed at, that often makes you feel the one that there's something wrong with you, or like, why am I being laughed at or bullied? What's wrong with me? It's generally not you. It's generally the person who hands out the bullying and the laughter is somebody who has problems. Maybe they're facing challenges themselves, and the only way of letting it out is maybe bullying somebody else or laughing at somebody else. And so yes, I've been through all that. I had actually quite an unhappy teenage life. When I was like grades R to say grade 7, I was quite sporting, quite athletic. I used to run track, and how they did it with us blindies, blindies is what we blind people call ourselves. We would run, if it's just like 100 meters, the teacher would stand down the track 100 meters straight ahead, and they'd clap their hands and say, "Come here," and we'd run for them, hopefully not run into them. And then if it was a full 400 meters or 800 meters, we'd have a sighted guide, or often a partially sighted guide, which was one of the other students who could see a limited amount. Then I went into my teenage years, and I actually became quite lazy, almost depressed. Not accepting my blindness, felt I didn't fit in 100%. Our school made us go to church, but because I was English, they sort of defaulted us to the Catholic Church. So I was brought up Catholic, but I never really sort of had a relationship with God. It was like a formality. It's like I have to go on Sunday. And I remember bunking church once or twice because I didn't want to miss what we used to call the top 40 countdown on the radio. It's like the new songs and that. I got into trouble for that. The other time I got into trouble is a friend and I used to sneak away to the railway station and go and watch the trains, or listen to the trains, whatever you want to call it. And I remember once the driver actually invited us to come onto the engine and showed us how everything works. And that was really one of the highlights of my teenage life at school. And I got a very good hiding for that, for bunking school. But it was worth it. And then, my teenage years were quite boring, uneventful, except for holidays. Another interesting fact, I could see a little bit until the age of 19, a little bit more than now. I could see cars and trees up to about 10 meters. And I could distinguish colors. So if you say red, green, blue, I know what that looks like. I still remember that. And then at the age of 19, my left eye, which was the eye that could see a bit, the retina detached, which means I lost that little bit of sight I had in that eye. And even then, losing that little bit, I mean, from seeing where a doorway is or where cars parked, I couldn't see that anymore. So I had to adapt. I had to adapt and accept it. And so I went through my young adult years being cross with God. Not when I left school, I didn't want to go near a church. I didn't want the Bible even mentioned to me. And I went through quite a few years like that. I got into sport. That's where I got into the road running, marathons. I've done one Comrades marathon, just to prove to myself that I can do it. Thank you so much. Now in hindsight, and I do use those terms, in hindsight I realize without God I would have never have done that long distance run. It's not only a mental test and a physical test, it's an emotional test as well. So then I also got a good job. I started working for a large diamond mining company, and I got into the IT department, which is the computer department. I've always been interested in technology, and then at one stage I started cycling on the tandem. I never even knew that we got a tandem, because when I was a kid and I could see a little bit, I had BMX and I used to ride around our suburb in a quiet street, and I would be able to see the contrast between the pavement and the road, and I would see parked cars, except for the parked cars that are maybe in an odd piece of shade. And I have actually, I remember our neighbour bought a brand new car, and I was coming up the road quite fast, and she was reversing out, and I wasn't concentrating. She was sort of in the shadow of a tree. And luckily my front tyre connected her rear tyre, and I went flying over the car, and so the car was undamaged or unscratched. And she was more concerned about me, and I was more concerned about her car. And then also what I remember clearly from the school days, the holidays specifically, going home, my brother has always been into cars. He's still now, his work involves cars. He does performance tuning of sports cars and that. And he drives Porsches and stuff, so yeah, I've been fortunate enough to be taken for a spin in a Porsche. But he built us motorized go-karts when we were kids, and I could fortunately see enough to actually navigate our garden. We had an open corner stand, and I would race a predetermined lap, and I would do close lap times to my brother, not as good as these, but close. And the one day we have a bus stop on our property, because we were a corner stand and it was open, and the people would get off the bus and generally walk along the pavement around our property. But one lady decided one day, no, she's going to walk across the property, and I was coming with the go-kart across the property under a tree, didn't see her, and I hit her off her feet with the go-kart. Luckily she wasn't injured, but she was not very happy. So she started shouting at us, and my brother was trying to say to her, look, he's blind, why? And then she says to my brother, but he shouldn't be driving a go-kart. So then my brother says, no, but it's his property, it's our property. And then she still carried on, and she didn't want to actually believe that I was blind initially. And then my mom came out and actually just told her straight. My mom was a very straight person, and she said, well, if you want to walk across our property, those are the consequences. So those are good childhood memories. But later in life, I built up a good working career, as I call it, earned a bit of money. I now live in George. I live alone, but I do own a small townhouse here in Cleveland. Gardens. I've built that model train layout. It took me about 6-7 years to where it is at the moment. Yeah, and I really love George. And I started going to church when I came to George. I started going to the Methodist church, but it was also sort of an on and off. There were days where I felt I was growing, where God was, talking to me and, making me feel that I'm growing spiritually. But what happened to me quite recently, I lost both my mom and dad. My mom had cancer, and she was very sick, and she fought cancer for like 4 years. And she passed away in 2017, and then my dad passed away about 1.5 years later. And then in 2021, I lost my job due to COVID-19. A whole lot of us were our job was taken away, or retrenched is the word they use. And then, it's just all that sort of built up, and it's like, it brought me to my knees. It's like God saying to me, you're having a good life, you aren't growing up. They don't want to talk to you always because it's like, oh, would I say the wrong thing, or is that guy weird, or whatever. Other thing is, we don't generally make eye contact, which could put people off. I only found that out not so long ago when somebody was interviewing me for a YouTube channel. And then, there's just so many things that I've learned lately with growing my faith with God. Another verse that stands out for me is Philippians 4 verse 13. And this is my motto in life. It says, for I can do everything through Christ. And then it says, who